Welcome to Parenthood Bites, the podcast where we explore life as a parent in tech. I'm your host, Chow, and I have over 15 years of experience in tech, and I'm also currently working as a career coach. I'm the proud mother of 3 incredible boys. In each episode, we have an inspiring guest who will share their remarkable story. You'll find their wisdom and insights both relatable and enriching, because after all, we're all in this parenting journey together. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 45 of Parenthood Bites. We're here today with Andrew Teo, who's a senior software engineer in the Bay Area. Hi Andrew, how are you?
Hey, Chow. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm sure people might hear your voice and your name and be like, wait, I feel like I've heard him before. And if you think that, you have heard him before. He was in episode 19, which I will also link to the show notes if anyone wants to listen to that episode to refresh their memory and then listen to this one after. And so it's been a while, and I thought, hey, by now he must have 2 kids, and I wanted to check in with him and see how things are. How are you, Andrew? You don't look super tired, so you got that going for you.
Yeah. Am I the first returning guest?
Yeah, you're the very first returning guest. So thank you for doing that.
Yes. Winning. Yeah. It is my pleasure. My pleasure.
So tell me, how old is the younger one? And how's older sister doing?
Yeah, so younger one is now 7 months. She just turned 7 months last week. And the older one was just under 2 when we last spoke. So I have a 7-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. They're doing really well. It's challenging, but they're doing well. Introducing a new member to the family at around 2 years old is definitely an experience.
Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how is she adjusting?
She loved when we brought the baby home. Her name's Lydia. It's the name that we settled on. So I have Lydia and Isabel. We took a video when we brought the baby home, and it's kind of like, what you see on social media or what you might see in like a commercial, where she was like very sweet, wanted to show her all her toys and stuff. And then it changed a little bit over the next few days when she realized that Lydia was here to stay.
Oh,
So it's been interesting. I think it's a sudden change for a 2-year-old, especially when they're going through so many just different emotions, and they're trying to figure out how to handle everything that comes with being 2. There's a little bit of jealousy, a little more sort of attention seeking from both myself and my wife. The first few months, I think, were hardest because Isabel didn't understand why Lydia needed so much attention, but think she's starting to interact with her more, especially as Lydia becomes more responsive and can do more things. Lydia loves Isabel, so Isabel's starting to warm up to her.
and it's harder, right, when they can't react and things like that. So to her, she's probably like, dude, I'm trying to play with you, but you're not doing anything.
Yeah, definitely times where she tried to play with her and we are like, oh, you got to be gentle. She can't do that. And I think hearing that a lot at the beginning, she was just kind of like, okay, I can't really do much with Lydia, so I'm just going to do my own thing. But now they're interacting more. Lydia's crawling now, so I've got each eye in a different direction now, just watching them.
That's right. You got one running around, one
Hmm.
crawling, and they crawl
Oh,
fast,
yeah.
right? Like 1 minute they're in front of you, the next minute they're going out the door, and you're like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, their pace just picks up every day. Every day there's a little bit faster. And she's still just doing like the army crawl, so she's only using her arms, but
It's already fast.
she can get across the room really fast already, yeah. And she's not really afraid to leave the room, so just watching out for that.
Does her sister watch out for her too? Like, I know my kids, when the older one will be like, no, he's going outside.
No, not so much, just because Isabel's usually the first one out the door.
Oh,
So,
she's doing her own thing. She's too busy.
yeah, she likes running around and just playing in all the different areas of the house.
Mm. So I forget, what is the sleeping situation?
Yeah, so right now, Lydia's still in a crib in our room, and Isabel's in her own room. Isabel went through a lot of changes. Like, not only did she have a new sister, but then she started daycare in March. And around that time was when I think we found that she was waking up in the middle of the night and coming in. I don't know if it's to kind of see if we were playing with Lydia at 3 a.m. or if she was feeling some, anxiety about school, maybe a little bit of everything. But yeah, they're in separate rooms right now. We're still hesitant to kind of put them together since Lydia's still so small, but we're starting to talk about when it'd be appropriate for them to share a room.
So the plan eventually is for them to share a room.
Yeah, yeah.
And that'll be good. They can keep each other company and stuff. I know with my boys, if they wake up earlier and they know we're still sleeping, they'll just kind of hang out together. And sometimes they'll even like tell each other, whoever wakes up first the next day, wake up the other person so they can like
Oh,
have more
that's
time to play.
oh, that's fun.
So eventually, when your girls get older, they'll have
Yeah.
these.
Yeah, we were just joking that, Isabel would wake up at 3 a.m. and then go and wake up Lydia and be like, look, when we get up, we can go into mom and dad's room. We could do it together now.
Oh my gosh, you get dad, I get mom.
Yeah,
Let's go divide and conquer.
exactly. Yeah.
That would be pretty cute though.
Yeah. Thinking about it, it sounds cute.
Until it happens, yeah.
we'll, we'll see if we experience it. I'll let you know.
Yeah. So with the 7-month-old, what is her sleep schedule like? And are you able to get any sleep at all?
Yeah, well, so it was pretty rough the first 5 months or so because Isabel, she was a good sleeper. Like after 2 months, she started basically trying to sleep through the night herself. We would have to wake her up for feeds. They say that the second one is very different from the first. I think we're observing that in a lot of small ways right now. We'll see how their personalities shape up. But Lydia woke up a little more often at night, so that was more challenging and actually a little more jarring just because, I was hoping it might be the same experience, which is something they don't tell you. They say that the kids are different, but kind of weighing what actually happens versus your expectations and how different that can be is something you don't hear about a whole lot. But then, with Lydia, after 5 months, we sleep trained Isabel, and that worked out pretty well because she just liked to sleep. I think Isabel couldn't really get herself to sleep, but once she fell asleep, she could sleep through the night. Lydia, we found, was just pretty easy to put and then took to sleeping through the night starting at around 5 months. And then she just was like doing it herself for naps as well.
That's nice.
Yeah, I've been able to get more sleep since then.
That's good. Maybe that's why you look more refreshed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you had mentioned your parental leave. How was it? Like, is there anything you would do differently or anything you did differently from your first parental leave to your second?
Yeah, actually, things kind of didn't go according to plan there as well. So I think I had talked about taking the first half when Lydia was born and then doing what I did with Isabel, which was taking the second half sometime in the summer. I took the first 4 weeks and then went back to work. And a couple weeks later, our startup got acquired. So then, unfortunately, what that meant was I didn't qualify for parental leave with the new company. Tried to make it work, but couldn't make it work. So unfortunately, I lost some of that time. And we had talked about, possibly taking leave because I think the state of California, allows you to kind of take a little more time off. I'm still debating if I want to use that. But yeah, so I didn't get a chance to take the second half of my leave.
So you really just got the one month.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm still trying to talk to folks to see if I can get some extra time off to just hang out with Lydia. We've been lucky enough to still have the nanny that we had with Isabel. So we have someone watching. And then since I can still do a few days remotely, I'll go down and visit Lydia here and there, but trying to work something out where I can take a little more time off to spend with her.
So I know last time you were talking about remote being a very important thing to you. Is it hybrid right now?
Yeah, it's a hybrid model right now. So 2 days in, it's not far from me though. So the commute's actually the shortest that I've ever had. So that's not too inconvenient, but it is hybrid, 2 days in the office. I'm okay with that. In some ways, I do enjoy going back in just to kind of see some folks, see some coworkers. But I'm still very grateful to have, the 3 days where I can see Lydia more.
Yeah, so now Lydia is at home with the nanny, right?
Yes.
And then Isabel, you said she goes to daycare. How long is daycare?
We pay for her day to start at 8 and end at around 5. She doesn't really like to go until around 9. There's like a window where you can drop them off. It's typically from 9 to 5. She loves it. She cannot stop talking about her classmates. It's interesting. It's also tough because I realize like I don't know what she does at school now. Like it used to be she was at home and I would have a sense for what was going on. Now it's just kind of like thing that happens with Isabel and I don't know the details. And of course she'll come home with stories and I'm like, are you making this up or did that really happen?
Yeah, because some of the stories are a little bit more
Uh,
colorful
oh yeah,
than you
definitely.
feel like.
And we don't give Isabel a whole lot of sweets, but then she talks about sweets a lot now, and we're like, "Who's giving you these? Is it your classmates? Is it the teachers? All that." So it's a lot of surprises, a lot of interesting stories, and you try and piece them together.
Yeah, and you try to figure out which parts really happened, which parts are her imagination, which
Yeah.
parts are something someone else told her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's a fun age. I was just saying the other day that like when they get older, you have to really try to get things out of them. But then when they're younger, they'll just tell you everything unfiltered.
Yeah.
And so I really miss that age where it's just they just tell you everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is with Isabel, she doesn't really like being prompted. Like I'll ask, "Yeah, how was your day?" And she was like, it's good. It was fine. But then one day she'll maybe later or a couple days later she'll just randomly say something and be like, "You've never said that before, like cookie." And then you have to figure out what was the story with the cookie and how did she get it? And yeah, so it's interesting. For her it's like just kind of let it come naturally and things will slowly reveal itself. And just hopefully I can still like piece together what the week was like.
Yeah, that's how Lucas talks as well. My youngest, he's very much like he'll just say a thing. And then once you figure it out, you're like, oh, that's a thing that happened last week.
Mm,
The next thing he'll say will be something that happened like 10 minutes ago. So you have to really like
yeah.
try to figure out the timeline
Yeah.
and who's involved.
Did your kids each have like a different way of communicating and sharing stuff, or were some of them the same?
I mean, they all like to share stories
Uh-huh.
about their day, but then just like similar to what you're saying, like different prompts. Some people you ask about it, they want to keep talking about it. Some kids, they're like just on their own,
Hmm.
they want to say things. But then there's some, like one of them is a little bit more reserved, so he's more like, eh.
Hmm.
And then you have to like keep digging into it,
Yeah.
to try to get the thing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's okay if there's nothing, but I just want to make sure
Yeah.
everything's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of wonder if Isabel will be kind of that way because she just kind of brushes things off and is able to kind of move on to different activities and
Yeah, sometimes it's not they don't wanna tell you,
yeah.
it's just they've already moved on.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't care about it anymore.
Exactly.
It's not a thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, how has your work life changed since having a second kid?
I would say that I value the balance a little bit more because now there's two people plus like, I just got to help out after work. So there's two people kind of waiting for you to play with them and, help them out. So I'd say I value it more. I value work-life balance like even more. I can't say that along with like the acquisition and the going to the office 2 days a week that things have changed like a whole lot. I've been able to be available at 5 o'clock, like when Isabel gets home and when the nanny goes. So, not a whole lot has changed for the work life, but life is a different story.
What was the biggest change in family life other than now you have another kid to take care of?
I've heard this, said multiple times, many ways, but it goes from 2-on-1 to 1-on-1. And like they they're beating you. they're winning. Uh, and you can't really call for like help defense. It's, because the other person does have their hands full. We try and like switch off pretty often. So like if Isabel gets in a demanding mood and she doesn't want me Then I'll switch off with Jessica and I'll go help with Lydia. There was a little moment at the beginning, or not really the beginning, but like at the 3 or 4 month mark where Lydia like still wasn't taking the bottle. And so I couldn't help as much when it came to feeding. But luckily she ended up being okay with the bottle and I could help feed her at times. So yeah, yeah. One
Yeah,
on
it's
one.
like this is it. You have no backup, right? Like you just got to wing it. I think that's how we
Hmm.
are right now with taking the kids to school. It's like three kids, three different schools. We just got to do it. There's no alternative. You just got to go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even imagine. You're 3 on 2.
Yeah. But now that they're older, it's a little bit easier. I think when they were little, it was just go, go, go all the time because you're just like trying to keep them all
Hmm.
alive and fed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Keep them alive.
And also earlier, you're talking about Isabel and how she's responding to her little sister and stuff. So I was wondering, what are some things that you and your wife do to make sure Isabel feels special, loved, things like that?
So we noticed that she was definitely craving attention, especially from my wife, especially in like the first month or so. We definitely relied on like my family and my wife's family, our parents to kind of help out, which we're really grateful for because it just kind of gave her a little bit of that attention. But she definitely still, when they went home, she was like, I still want to play with mommy. So one thing that we did more of was like this special mommy time, interrupted play with just them. Baba gets out of the way.
You get your me time,
and
right?
I get I mean, I'm, one on one defense on somebody else on Lydia, but she was small at the time, and now she like she crawls and plays with toys, right? So it's also a little bit easier, but that's actually the most important thing, and I think it like really helps with just how she behaves with the rest of the day, the rest of the time afterwards. So that's the biggest one, and then we tried to do like some trips to the park on the weekends where it was just us and maybe grandma, or if there was a day that Isabel had off from daycare, that we would take her to the park and, Nanny could just watch Lydia still. So looking for those kinds of opportunities. The dedicated mommy time, special mommy time is like the biggest one.
I love that. And she's probably really looking forward to that as well, where she gets mommy all to herself.
Oh, loves it. And what she'll do is she'll like she wants to go see our cars. And so she'll go to the garage and pretend she's driving. And that's how she spends time with my wife.
Oh, that's the mommy time.
Yeah, that's the mommy
Oh,
time, is like it's actually sitting in the driver's seat of our cars with her, and then just like, talking a little bit and
that's cute.
pretending, yeah.
No daddy time yet?
Oh, no. No. In fact, she's she's rejected me a lot more since.
Oh
But it's
no.
okay. I don't take it personally. But yeah, she's like, I don't want daddy.
Oh, she says that. I'm like, how do you know you're
Yeah,
being
she'll say
rejected?
it. No, she straight up says it. She's good with her words.
You're like, it's okay. I have another one. That's why you have
Yeah.
multiple kids. If one doesn't want you, you have another one.
Yeah, yeah. But I know it's just that she wants the attention from mommy because Lydia's gotten a lot, as she should, because she needed it.
Of course. And especially since you're saying Lydia doesn't take the bottle. So she's probably spending a lot of time with mom.
Yeah, for a while it was a lot of time.
And so, Isabel doesn't see those logistics. She just sees like, oh,
Hmm.
she's with my mom. And so, that's time that's taken from her.
Exactly. The hardest things were like those times where we could be all playing together and then suddenly it was like feeding time. And so those would, I'm sure, be jarring for Isabel or Sudden, right? So I think those times probably, didn't feel good. Things are better now that Lydia's older. But yeah, first 5 months really, really rough.
And now that they can play together more and more, I think it's just going to get better and better because they could spend even more time.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
So, what was it that made you decide to have a second child?
Well, I grew up with a sibling. I have a sister, and that was a lot of fun. I know I teased her and maybe bullied her a little bit. And if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Aw.
Love you. And then Jessica also has a little brother, and so we both just liked having siblings, and we kind of wanted that for Isabel, hoping that they'll get along and they'll watch out for each other. And then it's like you kind of get sold on the vision of like a family, and it kind of looks like two parents, two kids a lot. So I'll admit, like, grew up thinking about that too. So I think it was a natural thing for both of us to make that decision. And um,
So are you two kids and that's it? Or would you be open to having another kid? I know I'm coming with all the hard questions today.
no, I mean, but it's appropriate questions because a lot of people ask this. I know that my wife, after the first week with Lydia, she was like, I could do three.
Whoa!
And I looked over at her, I was like, what?
Wow! That's not how I thought that would go
Yeah. No, I know. I was so shocked, and we like to laugh about that. I feel like it's pretty funny.
until it happens.
I mean, yeah. I It's the second one was so challenging because, like I mentioned, kind of at the beginning, I think I had a lot of expectations for maybe how the second would go, just because I was like, it's another baby, and yes, maybe they are different, but I think I can handle it. And I was still thrown for a loop, so it was pretty challenging. And I think some folks had mentioned, having two was like not as, some folks were telling me it's like 1.5 times harder. It's not two times harder, sorry. And for us, it's two times harder. I was like, there's
You're
two.
like, I don't get it. It's not what happens.
It's simple. I don't get it. And maybe it becomes easier again when they can start playing with each other, stuff like that. But the first few months, it was really challenging. Now, I'm not like completely against the idea of three, but we're gonna talk about it some more.
If your wife is listening, I just want to tell you he's not against it.
We talk about it pretty often. Probably once a week we just bring it up and then
And then you laugh it
laugh
off.
and then imagine and then laugh and then imagine and then it goes quiet.
And then you go back to your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there anything you did differently with the second one? For example, like with the first one, I sterilized everything. For the second one, I probably sterilized like, 2/3 as much. And by the third one, it was like sometimes I even forgot to plug in the sterilizer. Like, did you find yourself doing anything differently like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely not as worried or full of anxiety as I was with Isabel. I'm still nervous about some things. Like we're doing the baby led weaning, so she's holding large pieces of broccoli and kind of like biting off as much as she can kind of handle. And I was so nervous with Isabel with baby led weaning. I was like,
She might choke, right?
yeah, yeah. And they say you shouldn't do this, but I was like sometimes picking stuff out of her mouth. And they say like you could, lodge the food further in. But I was like honestly terrified because I'd never seen this before either. When we were growing up, when my cousins who are much younger than me were growing up, they were all fed purees and stuff. So then baby led weaning was like so new. I'm not as anxious now with Lydia, but I'm still very watchful. I'm like always staring at her while she eats. But yeah, if stuff falls on the floor, 5-second rule at least. I might count to 10. I don't know. It's okay. Far less sterilizing of things. I think I'm a little more carefree this time around. It's not carefree, but relaxed this time around.
Yeah, not as worried about everything breaking her, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's how it was for us as well.
Yeah. How is it by the third one?
By the third one, you're just like, he's alive. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, like the first one when they fall off the bed, you're just like, oh my God, I'm the worst parent. You call the doctor and stuff. The second one, you're like, okay, maybe he's okay. How did I let that happen again? But it did happen. But let me call a vice nurse just to be safe. By the third one, you're just like, it's fine. He'll bounce back. It's okay. Cry it off. It's okay. And then in a few minutes, he's fine. He just moves on. Now, I'm not saying
Mhm.
we have like wooden floors or anything, or the bed is really high. It's pretty
Yeah,
close
yeah,
to floor and carpet, but
yeah.
still, with your first kid,
No,
you're
I
just
know.
like, oh God, now my kid's gonna be brain damaged and it's all my fault.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
with the third kid, you're like, he could fall a few more times. He's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I still get into this anxiety ruminating mode with both of them. If something new pops up, like if Isabel has a runny nose, I'm like, oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what is
Yeah.
it? You look up runny nose on Google.
That doesn't go away.
Yeah.
That doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Or you
Yep.
notice like a bump on their leg or something. And it's like when it's health related, you're just
Hmm.
that doesn't go no matter how many kids, which kid it is. It's like,
Yeah.
please don't have anything wrong with you because that's the last thing I need. You know, when we were on our trip in Taiwan, like the youngest one, he would get these bug bites, but then they would
Oh.
transform into these blisters. And they weren't just bug bites, they were like little
Oh.
like bits of blisters. And so I took him to the doctor, put medicine on it, used waterproof band. It took a long
Hmm.
time to get it better, but I was just like, "Oh my god, I failed as a parent. How did this happen?" And like you
Yeah.
just want it to go away and it just wouldn't go away, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can't. Now I'm like having flashbacks to like when I was a kid and like stuff that, I remember getting one mosquito bite and it just like swelled up to be the size of my arm.
Yeah.
And like thinking back to how worried my parents must have been because like I'm worried about a runny nose.
How terrified they must have
Yeah,
been, but they had to act like it's okay in front of you.
yeah. Now you know. Now you know. Because I worry about runny noses now. I don't worry about when I get a runny nose,
Right,
but
or
yeah.
like they sneeze and you're
Yeah,
like, "Oh
don't
god."
are you gonna sneeze again? Like, is there how many more are coming?
Do we have Tylenol at
Yeah,
home?
is this how long is this gonna last? Are you gonna,
We're all gonna get sick, and then you start thinking
Yeah.
about that. You're like, okay,
Mhm.
if we all get sick, by the time I get sick, it'll be a month later, and then boom.
No, yeah, yeah. And the last time we'd gotten sick, like it would either be me or my wife who got sick first, and then the other person would follow and be like, I just hope it happens like that again so that, someone is available. It's like, okay, if I just keep my, I don't know, adrenaline up, like maybe it'll just,
Yeah, take some vitamin C. Tell yourself you're fine.
yeah. Oh man. When Isabel got sick with probably just a light cold one time, we took emergency like every day for 10 days. We were like, this one's not going to get us. We need to stay available.
Yeah, did it get you?
No, it didn't get us, luckily.
Good,
Yeah. But it was probably just cuz it was a really small cold that we were freaking out about. She just had a runny nose, like really.
but you never know, right? It always starts like with one small thing, and then the next day they wake up and you're like, oh, fever, cough, throat hurts. Great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's her first 6 months out of daycare. We're just like hyper aware. I'm terrified of the winter coming up. Winter is coming and I'm just
There's a time period where you're
Mhm.
just like, is everyone just gonna keep getting sick? That's just how it is, and it's okay.
Mhm.
You'll get through it. Everybody gets through it. And then when they go to elementary, it just feels so much better. You feel like you just get sick that much less.
Yeah, yeah. I heard like it's actually maybe kind of good for them to go to daycare and maybe get exposure, before they hit kindergarten, first grade.
Build their immune system.
Yeah.
So, what is something that like you wish you had when you were preparing for the second baby?
Man, this is interesting. Maybe because like I just forgot. I started forgetting like how the first few months were. But I was also like different mindset with the first baby, right? Like just a reminder, something to remind me really of like how those days went because I think I got shocked again with the second one. I just was less prepared than I felt I should have been. And at times I would kind of beat myself up for it because like it was not meeting my expectations. And then I was like, how could you forget that it was like this? And it was kind of rough. So I don't know what that would be. There were all these classes that like the hospital sent us and we attended all of them.
Wow.
Some kind of like review.
Maybe you had to keep a diary.
I don't know. Or maybe I should have been journaling.
Yeah. Keep a diary to future self.
Yeah, a journal would have helped. Yeah. Day 5. What have I done?
I still have not gotten any
Yeah.
sleep, but it's
Yeah.
okay. It will get better.
Yeah. I'm not sure. That one's a tough one because I think materially we had everything we needed. And so in that way we felt pretty prepared. The tough one was just like not having the room for the middle of the night activities like changing the diaper and stuff. We did a lot of stuff in the dark the second go around because Isabel took over the nursery. So we did a lot of stuff in the dark. But that was, I mean, it wasn't the biggest problem. For me, at least, it was just the shift again from like kind of being comfortable to, hey, there's this newborn. And maybe I just hadn't taken the time to prepare and reflect on it and stuff. I should ask my wife this question. I wonder how she would answer. It's a good question. I mean, in the end, you got to just roll with it, right? You just got to do what you got to do to,
Just gotta get by.
yeah,
You'll get through it.
make sure everybody stays alive.
Yeah. The last question I wanted to ask was that, now having two young kids, I was curious what's something that you would like to learn from other parents or like, an area that you could use tips from other parents.
Yeah, I think, with one, like I've said before, it's like it's 2-on-1. Sometimes you can kind of help each other get the space away to either recharge for a little bit or take a break. It's challenging with two and just kind of being busier. And with Isabel getting older, we're also navigating kind of the toddler stage. Sometimes it's hard to kind of keep your own emotions in check. I mean, toddlers have a hard time with emotions, but sometimes you can just forget to keep yourself in check and you might have a blow up or something. And that's not something you necessarily want to bring to the relationship with your kid. And so maybe something I'd like to learn is like, how do people kind of manage their emotions, manage their own sort of mental well-being? I think for me, what I do is I kind of do the revenge time where I like stay up late. And
I think we all do that.
yeah, and that doesn't actually always recharge.
It's great until you're tired
Yeah, until you're tired.
the next day and you're like, oh God, why did I do that?
You're like, maybe I should have slept a little earlier, but I needed some time to myself. And it's just this kind of cycle. So ways to manage that, I think, is something I want to learn. And I always try and ask people that one, how they manage. The toddler stage is like very, very challenging. Even with one, I'd like to know how people kind of do it, especially if maybe you're prone to kind of getting frustrated or upset easily.
I think some guests in the past have talked about that a little bit, but that's definitely something I will add on to ask people in the future. So you should stay tuned to hear everybody's tips in the future.
Yeah. How do you kind of handle it? Did you ever get frustrated when
Yeah, especially when you have a really hard day at work, it's really hard to separate from family, from work. Some of the things I've had to do was like really just have a process for me to separate work from home. So it's like not just shutting off my laptop, but then like if you're in a different room, getting out of that room, physically closing and being like, hey, that is work. I'm containing it in that space, or sometimes is going
Mhm.
for a walk. When I used to commute home, I would like sit in my car for a few minutes before coming in to just like reset myself.
Oh, that's good.
Some people say like meditation works. Some people do like breathing exercises. I had someone tell me once they were like, just have really focused breathing exercises. And then there's some apps that people use to help. I think Headspace, I think that's an
Yeah,
app that I've
yeah.
heard people talk about that really can help with that as well. So I think it's
Mhm.
just being intentional about going through those steps, doing those things
Mhm.
to help you. And I know before sometimes I would just get so irritated. I'd be like, I have to walk away. I have to walk away from work, from the kids, just walk away and then come back when I'm in a better state.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think like you try different things, right? It's whatever works for you at that moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, I'll definitely be asking that to future guests as well, especially ones with toddlers and get you some answers.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tune in for those for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you again for being on the podcast. And it was really awesome to hear like the updates and how your life has evolved with two kids now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's fun to kind of talk about it out loud and kind of reflect on it with you, especially if I think back to maybe some of the maybe like what I was thinking back then in December. It's good exercise to kind of think back on it. So thanks.
Like taking a moment, right, to stop and just reflect on all of it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It feels like we have to do this every once in a while just for people to reflect on their life these
Yeah,
past few
yeah.
months.
Yeah, follow-ups, I think are really fun. This was fun. So if anybody else has been on the show already, this was fun. You guys should do it again.
Yeah, definitely should. Just reach out to me. All right. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, and hope you have a
Cool.
great rest of your day.
Thanks, Chow. You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today on Parenthood Bites. We hope you found our episode informative and entertaining. If you're a parent in the tech world or know someone who is, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out to us at chow@parenthoodbites.co, and we'll be thrilled to add your experiences to our interviews. That's chow, CHIAO, at parenthoodbites.co. And to our potential sponsors out there, if you're a business or know of one that would like to support and partner with our podcast, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can also reach us at chow@parenthoodbites.co. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Until next time, take care and stay curious.